So welcome to Bowen, and he's going to speak to us on a novel type of text modification and its implications for vocabulary learning through reading. Over to you, Bowen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to give you a presentation on my master dissertation project. It's about a new text modification method I devised myself. It was designed to help learners to infer word meaning when they are reading. And firstly, I'm going to present you an example of the text modified by this method. As you can see in this text, for example, this word secretary, if you click the right arrow here, it will lead you to the second occurrence of the word, and if you click the right arrow again, the third, fourth, and fifth, and if you click the left arrow, you go back and to the previous occurrences. So the purpose of this text modification is that because as we know, if we try to infer word meaning from the context, if it's just a single occurrence, there are a limited amount of clues that you can find. But if you can synthesize the clues from multiple occurrences of the word, especially if you are reading a long book, for example, if you read the word occur in the very beginning of the text, and then maybe like 20 pages later it occurred, and at that time you might not be able to recall that you had met the word before. So in this case, this text modification method could help you to synthesize these different the clues from these different contexts. And So in this study, I asked 4 research questions. The first one is whether learners will use the arrows when they are provided with a text modified by it, and when they use it, why they used it. When they did not use it, why they did not. And the second question is about when they click the arrows, what they will be doing and what they will be thinking. And the third question, of course, is about the efficacy of this method and what factors are involved in its efficacy. And the fourth question is about to compare this method with other methods like gloss, and also by combining gloss and reflash. I call this method reflash because by combining them together, and also combining it with non-modification, and also about the factors involved in the efficacy of each of these conditions. And to answer these questions, I designed a case study on 3 low proficiency English as a foreign language learners in China. And the reading material I use is from the Oxford Bookworm series. And to choose the books, I first gave the participants the vocabulary levels test, the first 1,000 word level, because they are low proficiency learners. And also I because the Oxford University Press also have a official levels test for the bookworm readers. So I also issued this text, and the result, as you can see from this table, that the vocabulary size of the 3 participants range between 700 word and 900 word, and also their results on the Oxford Bookworm levels test is within the range of that is appropriate for the level 2 readers, and the head word used in level 2 readers are exactly 700 words. So I tentatively choose 2 books from the level 2 and input the text into this online software called vocab profilers, and generate a list of all the words used in this text, and give the list to the participants and ask them to rate each word against the vocabulary knowledge scale. And all the words that are rated between 1 to 3 in VKS will be the final target word. And I sorted all the final target words in a descendant order as to the frequency of these words in the text. And then I allocated all of the target words into 4 conditions. First condition, reflash; the second condition, gloss; the third, reflash plus gloss; the fourth, non-modification. And as we can see, after the text is modified by these 4 conditions, the text coverage for all the 3 participants are above 98%. So which means that presumably this test will be comprehensible to them, and they might be able to learn vocabulary from reading it. And then comes the reading sessions, which is done on my computer. And I like them to read on my computer when there is screen record software running, which recorded all of their all the things they did on the computer. And after the reading, I give them this table and ask them to read each target word again against VKS and write down what the word means. And then also I give them two additional questions about whether they can recall seeing a word in the text they just read, and also whether they can, if they did recall seeing a word, what was the scene where the word occurred. And the reason for including these two questions is that because later I want to find whether there's a relationship between the saliency of the scene where the word occurred and whether and the acquisition of the word, which I will talk about later in the results chapter. And after this, I showed them the screen record of their reading process, and every time they used reflash or did not use it, I paused the video and asked them to do stimulated recall of the following two questions. The first one is why did or didn't you click the refresh arrow? The second question is when I did use the reflash, what were thinking? And so this is the general procedure of the whole experiment. And as for the results, for the first research question, did they use it? Why or why not? To answer this question, I watched the screen record again and visualized every case of their use of the reflash in a format on the left. In this example, it means that when a word first occurred, it used the right arrow to the second occurrence, and then used the right arrow again, and then they use the left arrow to click all the way back to the first occurrence. And we can see from the table on the left that all the participants at least used the reflash at least in one reading session, and one of them used it in both two sessions and used it quite frequently, and the other two only used it in the second session and only scarcely. And to determine what the factors underlying their different usage, I transcribed the stimulated recall and then coded the transcription, and I found four factors that might involved in their different usage behavior. And the first one is the reading habit, the second one tolerance for unknown words, the third one richness of the context clues, the fourth one criticality of the learner. I think I'm kind of running out of my time here, but so I'm not belabor each of them. But one of the most interesting one is the reading habit. One of my participants, she actually reported that she had a habit of reading through the text as fast as possible without stopping for any specific word. But after her first reading, every time she would like to read the text again and to attack the words in that second reading. So in our first reading session, actually I didn't know about her behavior, but I only know it when I asked her why she didn't use it in the stimulated recall. So after I know that, I in the second reading session, I actually gave her time to reread the text after she read it for the first time, and at that session she actually started using reflash. So and the second research question is, after each clicking, what are the learners doing and thinking? So every time they used reflash, and it was either because they want to infer the word meaning, or they were trying to confirm their guess. After clicking the arrow, they will reread the text around the target word. But each time the length of the text they would read really varied. Sometimes it was just 2 or 3 words adjacent to the target word. Sometimes it's the whole sentence. Sometimes it's the whole paragraph. And when asked why this difference, they said just the feeling. So we can see that they use it actually in a more it didn't have a systematic strategy in using this text modification method. Just use it when they feel like using it, and use it in a way that, yeah. So I think I'm running out of time now. So for the last two research questions, please refer to my paper. Thank you very much.